and so everything is fine. So what I thought, as you know, I don't know you well, and because I was invited as a facilitator, what I thought is I can just share with you some things, tips, tricks, tools, thoughts about facilitation, but in a conversation way. I don't. I'm not really good at just lecturing to. Okay, so my name is Dov. I'm a lot of things: agile coach, facilitator. And perhaps I'll start with why you invited me. In fact, because last time I told you that I created a game, and I can show you it's not exactly a game, but I can show you this, and this is the first facilitation tool that I wanted to share with you. And the problem domain is that meetings suck. So is there anybody who never had this thought cross his mind or her mind when they were in a meeting? No hands. Yes. Sarah, really? You love meetings? Awesome.
I think meetings which are heartfelt, I love them when people gather. But the regular disembodied meetings, I don't love them.
And that's the problem, because I think we a lot of meetings lack spirit. Like they lack what when I talk about meetings, I say nothing is mandatory. Like you don't have to start on time or to have an agenda or like to have facilitators, whatever. The only thing that's really mandatory for meetings is presence. Is that one, the people who are there, and two, that the group who's there is there. So like not only that people are present, but also that people acknowledge that there is one big thing, which is like this mass of 16 people now that we are, that has an intention of its own. So I never mind the story, but at the end, like a few years ago, I had an idea and I created a tool around this, which is called the Meeting Spicer. And it's really simple because it takes only 1 minute of your meeting time. And there is a book by Douglas Adams, which is called Mostly Harmless. So this game or this activity is mostly non-intrusive. So, and we tried, me and my partner, Regis, we tried to create it as, it's funny to say, but as non-game-like as possible, because the people who need this are usually game aversive. They don't really like something that's called a game or the facilitation activity. So and it goes really easy. So I'll demo. So I have it's a magic trick. Okay, so I have a deck of cards. Can someone pick a card? So I don't know, pick a number between 1 and 10. First one who shouts wins.
9.
9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So today we start like this. I hope the autofocus will work. But if not, I'll show you another magic trick here. Okay, so ask everyone to think of the remote people for 20 seconds. Do you know their names, what they look like, their location, and what's the time over there? So take 20 seconds, just look around the screen. You have their names, so it's a tip. Everyone has their image on, but do you know where they are? What time is it there? Interesting. And that's it. And now we start. So that's one way to start a meeting. I'll give you some other ideas. So this one is, let's try this today. Finish early. Set the meeting to end 5 minutes ahead of time. Or this one is yeah, this one is nicer. Like when I say nicer, there's a lot of cards here that are based on silence, because I think that one, when I ask you a question to ask yourself and that you don't share with someone, you're more honest, you're more connected. You don't think of an answer that the others, how will the others perceive your answer? But two, I give you 20 seconds of silence, which is a gift. Like when you start a meeting and you start it with resounding silence, it's a gift within itself. So this one, for example, ask everyone to look around and think silently for 20 seconds. In my opinion, do all participants agree on the meeting's goal and are willing and able to contribute? Am I? Or do I? So take 20 seconds and think about this. Just look around. And now let's start. So I make it short because I just want to give you the taste. A lot of practices that are suitable. So like this is a deck that was made specifically for remote meetings. Like in the other one, we had the practice like everyone get up and switch places and sit near someone you know the least. We can't do that here, right? So it's there's a lot of practices that are also specific for remote meetings. So, and because this is a remote deck, it also has this magic trick that all the cards are printed the same on both sides. So I can show it to the camera and read it at the same time. And like there's three parts to the deck, or 4 parts, depends how you count. There's the parallel of checking out. So when you finish a meeting, perhaps we'll do it today at the end, but just to give you a taste, there's a red card to choose from, which can be, for example, ask everyone to think silently for 20 seconds about remote kudos. Who do I want to thank for their contribution? You don't have to do anything, just think about it. Or let's see another one that I like. Yeah. So ask everyone to think silently for 20 seconds. What's the most important thing I learned in this meeting? No need to share, but you can put it on the chat. Okay, so it's different ways of checking out. This I think is my favorite. Ask everyone to think. Imagine now we ended the meeting, yeah, because like it's a. Ask everyone to think silently for 20 seconds. Will I remember this meeting tomorrow, in a week, in a month? And what will I remember? And again, you see like this resounding silence is something that is really powerful when you ask this question. And the questions are designed to be, as I said before, as least playful as possible. So no, people who think that that playing is the waste of time will not immediately be against that. And the other parts, like the more normal, like there's cards for the roles like decision maker or scribe or host and stuff like that. And in the site of the meeting spicer, you can download background that you can put on. Like if you decide that you're the, I don't know what, the facilitator, you can put your background as a facilitator so everyone sees explicitly what roles each person takes. So that's the meeting spicer. Questions about this? Comments? Hate letters?
Then I give a comment. Dov, I like the idea of using silence as a active kind of a tool or aspect to let it work for yourself. So yeah, I always need noisiness and sound and everything. So this is new to me, and yeah, healthy and humbling experience. Thank you.
Anyone else? Or not? Okay, I can show you, like if you talked about silence, I can show you From time to time, I make sessions which have silence in them. So like today you talked about background music, and it's a wonderful thing to have a session of 1 hour, or even like I did an hour and a half of just background music and people working in silence. And I can show you a sample board. This one is like more abstract because it's one that is for I don't know if you know the never done before group. So it's like a group of facilitators. And let's see if I can share the screen. I guess I can. Yeah. I can. Okay, I'll share the whole screen. Somehow. Okay, do you see my screen? And it's this. Okay, so I'll again, I won't run you through the experience, but rather explain what the experience is. So I won't do it in silence. It will take us 90 minutes and we don't have that time. So we start, the purpose of the session is to see if a group of facilitators can go through a process where we decide what our roles are, what question do we want to answer, and design a workshop to address this question, and then run the workshop on ourselves. And all of this in silence. Okay? So it starts by here, and imagine again soft music. And every time all the people in the group are checked in, they put the post-it in, and we move on to the next one. So I see someone played with this. Yes, someone played with this. So, and it's locked for me. But now there's a, after we said this is not a drill, you're already inside. And by the way, the silent session has a Zoom in silence with music and has a mural or mirror or whatever. And as I share a screen, I can sort of guide people where they are, but all communication is done either in the chat or by putting post-its here. The check-in is a set of questions of, am I connected to myself? What's the worst that can happen? Like, you know, some questions that make you a little bit unstable. And then the goal, as I said, is to do all of this and without speaking. This one was like, I think, the most complicated slide to do, which is why are we doing this? Team dynamics, meta thinking, emergence, silence, etc. This is the process. So we will share a vision, agree on ground rules, define our roles, co-create questions, co-create an activity, apply the activity, retrospect, and then break the silence. And our tools will be Zoom and Mural, but also trust and ownership and adventure. And if after you read this, you want to add something here, it's your session, it's not mine, just add it here. If you need anything, write it here if you have a burning question. And if not, we're passing to the next one, which is let's define our roles. So every person can put a post-it with the role they want. It can be an image, it can be text, whatever, without a lot of explanations. And then look at what we think the roles should be. And if you want to take one of these roles, move it here. And now that you move it here, you can describe it. So like if I want to be this thing, now I will say I want to be this thing, and I interpret it as a timekeeper, and as a timekeeper I will do that and that and that. If I want to be this traffic policeman, I want to be the traffic policeman. This is my job description. So each one writes their job description. And from time to time during the session, I remind people what is the job that they took on themselves. Now, this is an activity that I really like. what I thought is, how can we generate questions that are owned by the team, and also harness the fact that we're a lot of people. So the idea is this: we put one post-it, which is like you can put anyone. In fact, you can put more than one post-it to say this is the word that the question will start with. And now I'm not allowed to add another word for it. I have to wait until someone else added something. So we build a story together, like we build the question together. And even what I did, like, because I thought there will be a lot of people, there are not that many, I said, you have to wait twice for your turn, but you can start another branch, right? So like you can do something like, we start with how, you can have, how does a tree perceive cold? Or how does a tree perceive time? Or how to make money, or how to better understand, and we didn't finish this. How can an ant, I don't know what. And when you think a question is finished, put a question mark at the end. So now we have 3 questions that are done by the, when our time is done. And now we have to decide as a group. So this is the place where we build our questions. And now, we can choose 1 or 2 questions. And the thing is, and here I thought, I have no clue how you choose, by the way. It's up to you as a group to decide how you choose. Like, I'm not going to impose any choosing mechanism. What do you want? Put it here, communicate between you in silence. So here, like the one time we ran it, we decided to do dot voting. We did dot voting, and now we take a break. It's already 1 hour, and now it becomes even more absurd because this is a space to create activity, and I have no clue what will happen. Okay, so I can propose to you some like think of the steps you want to take or something like that, but it's really up to us. We're facilitators. Let's throw ideas. And in fact, when we went to the coffee break, we said during the coffee break, think what sort of workshop will you do to address the question that you chose? And now let's co-create this out of all of these ideas. And then let's, of course, run it after we did this. And at the end, let's retrospect. So retrospection is really easy. There's questions that I would love to hear from you about. And also there's questions that perhaps you would like to pose to other people. So just first phase, think what questions would you like to ask the others, write them here. And then whatever question resonates with you, write an answer here. That's it. And the last phase, of course, is, okay, now that we're done, let's breathe after this. I don't know what it took, 80 minutes, I think. And let's talk and share what happened. What did we learn as facilitators by running something in silence? So that's an example of a workshop that, like, I hope it inspires you to use silence as a tool for the team. Like I can also tell you, a lot of the thought I had was, what sort of music do I want? Because like one of the comments was, I think almost obviously, don't use a music that has words in the language that people understand. But even if you have a music that's instrumental, the rhythm, the key influences the dynamics of the group. So like, do you want them more to work, or more to reflect? Like, do you want them to be like nervous, dancey, I don't know what? Or do you want them, do you want music that in fact makes silence? And another thing that I like to do from time to time when I use silence is to invite people to do exactly what the opposite of what you're doing now, which is to turn on their microphones and share the silent noise that we all have as a group. Because sometimes I feel that, like now when I talk, I feel alone, right? Because there's nothing happens in this space. Like I see some people nodding, but even people, I don't see everyone. And to share this silence that is in my background, like sometimes a dog barks or a car, is something that connects us together. So would you like to try this now? Just unmute yourself and let's take a minute to listen. What's going on in this group all over the world, I guess. Would you like to unmute yourself? I see most people are still muted. Interesting. So now, even if there's silence, there's some tension, right? Something fell somewhere. Who was it? What fell? And I feel that this mode connects us a little bit, like it makes this environment a little bit less sterile. So that was another thing that I wanted to share. And now I'd love to hear your feedback about this part of the I don't know what, presentation, talk.
I would like to share, Dov. Oh, there are so many reflections. I think, in a way, my reflection is the use of silence also disrupt our, at least coming from me, my own view of what I think is needed as a facilitator to be in a group. Because often when you talk about the dreaming, I would say, let's say the client, whether you're an internal or external facilitator, is that there's this energy missing in a way, and they wanted to be in the group. So there's this expectation of someone comes in and would bring energy, bring clarity, bring whatever. And by actually deliberately not stepping in that kind of expectation, but do provide a structure as you did with the Miro, but then it's invoking other kind of energy from the group to step in and then be in that uncomfortable position, because I can imagine doing an 80-minute session in silence. Yeah, so it's I love it. And when you talk about the music, what resonates for me is really to bring the humanity in the virtual space by sharing the silence between us, the dog barking, the washing machine, the kids screaming, or all kinds of stuff that's also in the office. The small irritations of, oh man, why is he typing so hard? Or can the coffee guy please go away? And those are the, I wouldn't say the fundamental things, but those are the invisible things that's in every kind of relationship, either working relationship or intimate relationship. There are things that are just there and felt and not always named. So that's for me. Thank you for listening.
Anyone else?
Dov, if I may, I would like to ask a question. It's maybe a cultural question, because in some meetings I have found that this silence makes a sort of social laziness. I will elaborate on it. I mean, some people who are not interested in this silence will be passive and not willing to get involved because they think that others who are interested in silence, they will do the job. And then those people would be, passive, not being engaged. Please let me know if I'm clear.
Yeah, perhaps. So just like with the meeting Spicer, I suggest that you start with microdosing. Like when someone ends speaking, allow 3 seconds of silence before you jump in with something else. Or even when you start a sentence, wait until you finish it. So like you can put silence without imposing a 2-hour silence for everyone, just by speaking, just by the tone of your voice. You know, embed what you like, exemplify what you want to the group to do. I think there's a lot of thoughts about meetings, you know, like the one I love, Daniel Mezik, who talks about the hypocrisy of the word invite. Like when you invite to a meeting, usually the people who are invited, if they're your subordinates, it's more of a command than an invite, right? And I would start from there. Like what he proposes managers usually to do is allow people not to come, invite people not to come. Even say, this is the meeting, please come if you think that you contribute, and if not, you have other stuff to do. And perhaps the fact that you will open a meeting and no one will come will be the most important information that you got the past year or two. Okay, so if people are not there, it's because they have nothing to gain out of what you propose in this menu of a meeting. And as you know, you can force them to come, but you can't force them to be present. They're not present. No, like the problem is not how to make them present, but how to make it worthwhile for them to be present. And I think when people disappear, it's very revealing. It's great. Like if you manage to see that people are not present, now you have something that is usually more important than the topic of the meeting to think about. I don't know, does it resonate?
Very much. Thank you very much. Perfect.
Sure. Any other questions, comments? And just by the way, I don't read the comments. I'm easily distracted, so I'm trying to ignore comments. If there's something important that you want to say, just say it.
I have a comment, Dov. So I'm just thinking about this whole method of silence and how it relates to my practice of meditation, and just the whole like the advantages of meditating. Like there's more insight, there's more introspection, and I'm sure we've all heard of that quote, "A wise man once said nothing." And so I'm just I'm a gap filler. I definitely do not utilize this method at all. I find silence uncomfortable. And it's one thing that I'm slowly discovering. I attend Toastmasters, and one of the comments that I often receive is slow down, like just pause. And for folks that have mastered that power of the pause, it's so powerful. And I've started like incorporating that into my facilitation. Once I pose a question, just let the silence, like let it marinate. And I definitely see it in those effects of like in my facilitation practice, but I'm not like this deliberate about it. So I can definitely see the advantages of it. That's one comment that I have. Thank you.
So if you talked about meditation and whatever, another thing that I wanted to introduce to you has something to do with facilitation, but like on a deeper level. I'm heavily influenced by the ideas and the Book of Tao, like which is like for whoever doesn't know, I'll explain in 1 minute. The idea of Taoism is that there's only one thing that exists, and this thing is everything. And all other divisions are false. So like the way I like to show it is, hold on, I just need to see. Yes. Okay. So the way I love to show it is, do you see how many fingers do I have, by the way?
5.
Yes. So now what I claim, that you see where this part ends, and I don't know, let's say this finger begins. Sarah, as you said, 5. Do you see that the distinction between the finger and the non-finger?
I think so.
Yeah. So now, if I go closer to the screen, can you tell me where it is? Like, is it here or here, here or here? Where is it?
I would say, yeah, it's hard to.
And in
Yeah.
fact, what I'm saying is, the closer you get, the more unclear it is. And this is because this line doesn't exist in reality. It exists in your mind. It's a functional division that we do of the world in order to survive. You know, in order to distinguish between food and prey. Prey, like, I don't know, someone who wants to hunt you, right? Or to find water, or like all of this. But in fact, everything is one. And the way I understand facilitation, true change happens in the space between definitions. Like, the more strict a process is, a hierarchy is, the more it's resistant to change. And change happens when you start asking the questions like, do you see this line? And when you learn how to stop seeing this line, now we can grow. Now we can change how we see things, right? So there is a book that I really love, and I prepared for today a segment of it, which is a book that's called The Agile Tao, which is an attempt to refactor this book of Tao, which was written 2,500 years ago, theoretically, in Chinese, which is also like a different way of reading besides the old language, because like it's the way you read Chinese is a mess. Like you get a block of symbols, and you read them in whatever order they make sense to you. So to translate this into English that is minded to the business agility, I'd say, like the aspects of that are relevant to modern leaders. So the book is called The Agile Tao. You can download it at leanpub.com. You can download the demo version, which is for free and currently exactly the same version as the paid version. And it's a book in beta, like, because it's always changing. I have a podcast about it with the author of the book. And one of the things that I like is every time before we read a chapter, like when I come to talk to him about it, he says, yeah, so this poem has changed since last night, and now we read the new version. But it's a beautiful book, and I'll share with you perhaps one verse of it. And again, I'll share my screen for this. Yes, okay. Do you see it? 2 minutes. So now I won't see any of you. So your facial gestures will go to waste. So like this is the definition of agility. Like, I don't know if it's the most beautiful. It's not the most beautiful, but I think it's the clearest part of the book. So that's what he says. I'll read it silently and with a lot of pauses to be congruent with what we just discussed. Mindset. Agility is practical, not mystical. A way of working, not a state of grace. Listening as if crossing thin ice. Testing as if surrounded by danger. Learning as in a strange land. Simplifying as thawing snow. Integrating as the deep woods. Leading as the river valley. Innovating as the spring silt. Imagine the ice solid or the stream clear. Stop to plan your way ahead. Ignore what moves underfoot. You fall and disappear. So that's the definition of mindset according to this version of the book. And like there's another example, perhaps I'll find it. I guess you all know there is I think the most famous quote of the book of Tao is, you can complete the sentence, a journey of 1,000 li or miles starts with?
First step.
Yes. And what I love about this book is that the translation of Peter Merrill is a journey of 1,000 miles starts at the ground below your feet. And the difference between these two is like makes my heart sing. It's such a great difference. And there's a lot of examples like this in this book. So highly recommended. You can also subscribe to my podcast. Share, like, and subscribe, as they say. So that was the other thing that I wanted to share with you. And as I ask you every time, any thoughts? What does it bring in you? What resonates?
For me, I think what resonates is just reflecting about it, thinking about it, and there is one set of meanings I see on the surface, and if I wait for some more time, maybe new meanings emerge from it. And for me, especially for a poem of this kind, I would say I would wait for at least half an hour to think, reflect, and then start noting down what different meanings come to. But ultimately, it's also about what I interpret from it.
Yesterday, I saw a lecture. It was interesting, of someone who said, when we read poetry and we try to explain it, it loses everything. It's just like a joke. Like if you tell a joke and then you explain it, no one will laugh, right? So if they didn't laugh, they won't laugh. You have to bring them to where they laugh. So that's what I thought of. And another thing I thought of, next time I'll do this, I will read the poem like this in the beginning, so I can ask people half an hour later what they thought. Anyone else?
Yeah, actually, I think one of the reflection I'm having at this moment is I think I'm still chewing on the word you used off on the microdosing, that the use of silence is also carried by the awareness of the participants within the group. So in a way that microdosing and the structure, it's important because as facilitator, you don't want to push them over the edge in a way. So if a group come together and that silence is just so disturbing for them, they kind of lose connection, then I think in that moment, it will be more of my own agenda to use the silence instead of being present as well with what's going on in the group and what is needed at that moment. And is that silence, or is that more the lovely act in a way of the microdosing of, oh, maybe more words, more music in a way? And I'm just wondering, looking with those reflection eyes to myself of, am I always that aware as well and humble in creating those conditions? Wait.
Yeah, like when you spoke, what I thought of is, usually I hate models, but like let's do something, simplify life. There is a zone of comfort and there's a zone of danger, and I try like to lead people a little bit out of the zone of comfort, and so they don't, they don't close themselves. And if you do this slowly, then things will grow. But if you take them in an adventure that they didn't ask for and they feel in danger, for sure they will close. So I think it's more important not to pass that zone of danger than to bypass the zone of comfort. So like it's a very delicate. There's another saying from the Book of Tao, like that says, leading a country is like frying a small fish. You have to always listen and tend to it so it doesn't burn. Like it's a. So yeah, I think that's the intention. I think. What else? We have 13 minutes. What do you want to talk about? Nothing. Okay, so I can, perhaps we can experience silence. Okay, sure. I can show you another tool if you want, which I really like and is connected more to, no, I have an idea. I want to show you a space that you can use that I discovered a few months ago, and now I work with the people who created it, which is an alternative way to handle this. Like instead of Zoom, there's a lot of tools, and I would love to show you around a tool that I really like, and which is currently, I think, like if you register, I don't know exactly what the process of registering, but it's free to use, and it addresses the problem that we all have in this space, which is that we lost all spatial orientation. Like we are living in an abstract place, and we don't know where we are. And just before I say this, I want to share with you a funny idea I had for a plugin for all of these, which is related to the card that I read before. Imagine that you will see me, or you will see all speakers in an orientation that is their orientation on Earth relevant to you, right? So people in Australia now, you will see them, I don't know where you are, but I will see them upside down. And I think like it's a very funny idea to reconnect us to the fact that we are living being with the place on this space. But I want to show you something more practical, which is called the Welo.space. I don't know, Welo. I don't know if any of you heard of it. Raise your hand if you heard of it. Yeah. So did you like it, Sarah?
Yeah, I liked it a lot because of the structure that you could choose as well. But then afterwards, I lost my login, so I couldn't get in anymore. So
yeah, so I think if you try to log in after a while, it will send you an email. Like that's what happened to me because I prepared for this session. Let's see. So do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have about 5 more minutes, Dov.
Good. So this is a as I spoke about silence, I asked them to create a space. Now there's someone talking in the background, so if you can mute yourself, it would be great. I asked for a space that will allow for eye contact. So usually eye contact is a small ceremony that we do as a group. We go to the street, like to a certain place, and we draw a circle on the ground and bring 2 cushions, and you sit on one circle, and you invite people into your circle, and you look each other in the eyes for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 2 hours, I don't know, whatever suits you. So this is a space, and I can sit here, right? And when I sit here, someone sees that I sit here and the space near me is empty, so they can sit here. And again, I can't show you this, but when we are more than 1 person, we share a video, and the video can be either in this circle or can be in a more like sort of normal way of, seeing it like in Zoom. And you can share, it's like, it's like there's a liberating structure called impromptu networking. So this is also a space where you can do that. So just change places. And I find that the idea that you can sit somewhere, like you can sit on the sofa, often I sit on the sofa and near someone, and if it's too crowded for them, they change to another sofa. So even though this is a totally virtual space, there is some rules of proximity that apply here, and I can show you. So this is sort of a weird space. There are more there are other spaces that look, for example, like this, which is a space that I created for another group that I hold on. Bella, can you mute? Thanks. Okay, that's live at home. So this is another space where you can, for example, like we could all now sit here, and as I'm the speaker, I can speak in I can sit in the center, and also like people can either sit on the chairs or go around. So like it has a space for 40 people. And one other thing that I like here as a feature is that in a group we can share. I'll go to a place where I created this. We can share a document together. So we can be near each other. And at the same time, we can edit a Google Doc, for example, or Miro, while we talk to each other. And of course, like when I'm here, everyone sees that I'm here, so you can message me, but you can't hear what I talk about. So it's like what this place has now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 breakout rooms of 2 people, plus 1 of 5 people. So I find it an awesome tool. I invite you to try, and I have 1 more minute left. Should we spend it in silence?
This one is perfect stuff. So just before the silence, I was just thinking that, by the way, is it possible to get the 2 chairs near to other 2 chairs, or they are fixed?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I wanted also like to drag chairs around, but they are fixed. Yes, it's a graphical designer that does the rooms, and every time.
And the second one is like a fishbowl, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So in fact, not only this, currently they're working on applying liberating structures to rooms. So making rules that are specifically designed for specific liberating structures.
I see.
And also they work on including things like a timer, like a talking stick, like, by the way, perhaps one day they'll have a plugin for the meeting spicer. So when you start or when you end the meeting, you have this. There's a lot of ideas, some very conventional and some crazy, of how we can hack this space. But like one thing that I really like about this is the, for example, You have breakout rooms, and so I send people to breakout rooms. I can't force you to go into a breakout room, but you can choose your room. And then, and this is very frustrating, I can't summon you back. I can call you, and it's up to you whether you go or not. So this experience of breaking a sentence in the middle is gone, and the frustration of a facilitator that wants to continue, and there's 3 people who are stuck there, and you have to go there and say, "Hey, are you coming?" is back. So, and this is on purpose, because part of the thing that is built into the system is to have autonomy, because this one of the things that Zoom did is it took a lot of our autonomy away. Like, not only it invades our home, and now I'm forced to show you the mess around me, and the fact that my partner is talking. Also, you send me to breakout rooms, you bring me from breakout rooms. Also, by the way, a great facilitation tip, if you want, start your meetings 5 minutes ahead of time, and allow people to just like you did here. So I guess you know it. A great social glue that we lost is this chat before the meeting starts, while there's 1 person, 2 people, and hold on, I'll get coffee. All of this is lost, and we can bring it back easily just by saying the room will be open 5 minutes ahead of time, or in Wello, one thing that I like, the room is always open. So just I won't go a lot into it, but I was talking about the Palestinian-Israeli talks. What I offered them is to use this room for talks. So just open this room, and whoever wants to talk, you enter, and whoever is there, if you resonate with them, sit on the chair near them and talk. And what's nice about this is that this talk now, you can't, you can't bomb a meeting, because you talk to 1 person. You can't now disturb 100 people, right? So if you talk with someone now and you sit in this space, you're an equal. And if someone doesn't like it, they go and they leave.
It is amazing. Thank you. And maybe in some of the sessions we can try it out.
Yeah, so I proposed I introduced it. I don't remember who's the organizer of all of this stuff. What's his name? I forgot. I'm really bad with names. But I showed it to him on Friday. So we'll see what happens there. Thanks a lot. I took 3 more minutes, and I apologize for this. I'll give it back to you next time.
Thank you, Dov, and thank you for bringing us on Monday the spice, the silence, and the space. And by having this room together and sharing our man-made noise, nature noise, or whatever there is in this space. Thank you so much for stepping also in a space which you started with. I don't know you really well, but I felt that you generously shared with us your knowledge and your reflections. So thank you for that. So I'm closing now because I know we have a busy agenda, or just the sun is shining outside. Maybe you want to read a book or whatever. Next week, please come. There is a session facilitated by Simone with journaling. I'm very much looking forward to it. And after that, we have all kinds of goodies. So yeah,
Sarah, Simona won't be there next week, so we will have a coffee session.
Okay, we'll have a coffee session. Indeed, we have surprises all coming along because it's almost summer. So just be here, be in this community, share, and maybe something will emerge. And yeah, thank you for today. Please unmute and say whatever you want to say, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Yeah.
It's a good
Have a
session.
great week.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.